You may not have heard of Ron Clements and John Musker, but you've sure heard of the films that they've directed.
Such wonderful things around you. What more is you looking for? Under the sea, under the sea. Darling, it's better down where it's wetter. Take it from me.
These are films that have touched the hearts of many and have contributed to the resurgence of Disney during their Renaissance era. But let's go back and see how they started as we talk about the animation stars Ron Clements and John Musker. So, Ron Clements was born on April 25th, 1953, in Sioux City, Iowa, in the USA. And John Musker was born on November the 8th, 1953, in Chicago, Illinois, again in the USA. John Musker was born into a large family who all shared a lot of interests. They all enjoyed the same books, films, and comics together. He had an early start in his career as a cartoonist for his high school paper, and he continued working as a cartoonist during his time at the Northwestern University, where he drew cartoons for the Daily Northwestern. He had always dreamed of working at Disney, so in 1974, he traveled to California to get a job there, where he was rejected. So instead, he joined the Disney funded school, CalArts, which included a summer internship at Disney during his second year. They were so impressed with him that they offered him a full time job as an animator, but he rejected it to get a second year of training. But he did go back and started instead in 1977 after finishing his second year. He started his time at Disney by working on an animated short called The Small One, before working on animation for. As an only child, Ron was inspired by Walt Disney through the magical world of Disney, as well as Pinocchio, that was also made by Disney. He got his foot in the film industry through a part-time job working at a local television station, where he commissioned a 15-minute film called The Shades of Sherlock Holmes. As well as that, he also worked for Hanna-Barbera, who made shows such as The Flintstones and Jetsons. But those places weren't really where he wanted to work for the rest of his life. He really wanted to work at Disney, so he took the leap and headed to California to break into the animation business. While there, he was accepted into Disney's talent development program and did a 2-year apprenticeship with one of Disney's 9 old men, Frank Thomas. His first pieces of animation work there were The Rescuers as well as Pete's Dragon, and then becoming a supervisor and animator on The Fox and the Hound, where John Musker was actually one of the animators he was looking over. And so started their friendship and time as collaborators. Helped along by the mentorship of Frank Thomas and Eric Larson, they moved through the ranks, starting as animators and eventually teamed up as story artists for The Black Cauldron, which didn't exactly do amazing, with this failure apparently crushing them. But that was fine because they knew that that wasn't what they wanted their legacy at Disney to be anyway. What they did want their legacy to be was an epic space sci-fi film, and before long they decided on that being a film inspired by Robert Louis Stevenson's Treasure Island, a film called Treasure Planet. And fun fact about the film, the RLS Legacy ship in the story was actually named after Robert Louis Stevenson. That's the reason for it being called that. But anyway, they made their first pitch of Treasure Planet to Jeffrey Katzenberg. Yes, that Jeffrey Katzenberg, who was the chairman of Walt Disney Pictures at the time. But he turned them down and instead asked if they could work on The Great Mouse Detective. And so began their directorial successes that they, just got through as they made their way to their goal of making Treasure Planet. Minor films like The Little Mermaid, Aladdin, those films. With The Little Mermaid being what is considered to be the first film that, along with the incredible songs by Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, helped kickstart Disney's return to fame as they were on the verge of going under. Ron and John's policy of being very collaborative, but also assertive when they needed to be, as well as their mentality that, not unlike Walt Disney himself, was of making films that would please themselves first, no doubt helped them as they started their directorial careers and solidified their place in the world of Walt Disney. And after the huge success that was The Little Mermaid, they went back to good old Jeffrey and asked if they could make Treasure Planet again. He said no and said that they should move on and make Aladdin. Then, after that was a success, they went back, and at this point, Jeffrey was just so over it. So Jeffrey said that if they make one more film, a little film called Hercules, he'd finally let them make the film that they just wouldn't shut up about. So they went and made Hercules, another huge success for the company. And then they went back, but Jeffrey wasn't there. He was now over at DreamWorks, sticking a metaphorical middle finger up at Disney with Shrek. But they didn't let that stop them. They were persistent with the new Disney management. And even though the new management didn't necessarily want it that much, Treasure Planet was finally greenlit. They could finally make the film that they've always dreamed of making through all of their other successes. They threw all of their work and effort and Disney's money, like literally they spent a whole lot of money into Treasure Planet. Technologically, it was a really impressive film, and you can tell that the people that made it were very passionate about it, but the film didn't do well. It was a box office bomb, and it got mixed reviews from critics. There's barely any interviews surrounding Treasure Planet, especially in the aftermath, so I couldn't find exactly what their response was to Treasure Planet not doing well, but I can imagine that they would have been absolutely devastated. They did try again with a film called Frady Cat, which was a film featuring cats that was basically a satire of Hitchcock's films. They made good progress with it and got to a stage where they showed a very rough version of it to David Stainston, Jeffrey's successor. And he did like it and he did give feedback on it, but Disney's management at the time thought that it wouldn't work with audiences, and they just didn't see much of a financial future for it after the film would have been released. So this scared David and caused him to cancel the project, even though many of the team members loved it. This led to the duo resigning from Disney and went on to try and make their way without Disney. But then John Lasseter came aboard as head of Disney Animation. I'm not endorsing him, I know what he did, but he is the one that brought them back on board as the company was getting started on The Princess and the Frog. And so the successes began once again, with them once again helping to bring Disney back into the spotlight as they pulled them from their post-Renaissance into their revival era. And as the duo got the ball rolling once again, with The Princess and the Frog not being, a wild success, but being a moderately good success, they then moved on to Moana, which was their first 3D animated film, and well, you know how much people love that film too. No doubt in part thanks to the incredibly talented Lin-Manuel Miranda. There's no way I was going to mention Moana and not mention him. But unfortunately, all good things have to come to an end, though. So in 2018, John Musker retired with a big retirement party taking place at the company. Although Ron is still working at the company. And then to cap off a great career, they both won the Winsor McCay Lifetime Annie Award in 2020.
SIFA Hollywood is proud to present its Winsor McCay Award to Ron Clements and John Musker.
Arabian Nights!